How's it going, my gruntlers or my gruntlies or my grunts? I don't know. We haven't figured that part out yet. I'm assuming I've got plenty of time to do that. All right, so let's get into it. What are we doing today? So, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I purchased this boat. It's a Bass Tracker, 2012 Bass Tracker Pro 16.5. It's got a 40 horse Yamaha that's sitting on the back of it. And the reason why we are here doing what we're doing right now is on the maiden voyage. My wife and I, we noticed that after the initial beep, which identifies that the system's running as planned. That's the Mercury system saying everything's checked out, everything's good, let's go ahead and get it. After that, a few minutes after that, we noticed that the beeping didn't go away. The beeping actually increased, and some of the beeps actually lasted a little bit longer. So fast forward a little bit, I pumped all the fuel out to eliminate a fuel issue. I didn't think I was having a fuel issue because at no point in time did the motor slow down, did the motor idle change. When we did get up on plane, it got up on plane perfectly fine. Overall, did not seem like a fuel issue. We did a little bit of research, my wife and I, and we kind of came up to some fuel issues, or some oil pressure issues. So going back to the conversation prior to purchasing this boat with the individual that I purchased it from, I know that this boat had been sitting for a little while. So what I went ahead and did is I pumped all the fuel out, got new fuel in it. I threw a little bit of fuel system cleaner into the tank, got that mixed up good. Next thing that I did was replace the fuel filter. Once I got the fuel system done, I started working on the oil system. I changed out the filter, I changed the oil, which was pretty much tar. So in my mind's eye, having nasty oil like that, having the beeping, it's going to push me more towards the oil system. Before I get any further, let me give you a quick disclaimer. I'm not a mechanic, nor am I an outboard mechanic. I'm just kind of out here doing my good old boy best job I can. Behind me, I've got a basic tool set. This basic tool set, as you can tell, has been lightly used. Likewise, I've got some nitrile gloves that are going to make it so that I don't have to worry about getting too much grime and grit on my hands. I've got a couple sets of crow's feet. I'm hoping once I get in there that I can pull the vapor separator forward some versus having to take some of the cowlings off, as well as pulling the whole vapor separator off, which I'll identify as we start going through the motor. And if I can, those crow's feet are going to come invaluable and get the oil pressure switch off. And ultimately, what we're looking to change out is going to be this little switch right here, which I will bust out of its package here in a second. All right, like I previously mentioned, we're working on a 40 horsepower outboard Mercury motor, 4-stroke EFI. It's going to be a simple teardown for the top cowling. You got a little switch on the back end. It's got a little clip that sits on the front. We're going to take that off. We're going to set it to the side, out of the way. Now, once we get into the motor itself, what we're looking for, working to get out the way, is going to be your vapor separator. That's going to be this silver piece right here. Directly below that, you'll have your oil filter. It's going to have, I believe it's a 10 millimeter by 3 times. So you got one here, you're going to have one back here, and then you've got one that's down here. And like I was mentioning earlier, I'm hoping that I can just loosen that bottom one off, take these top 2 off, and lean that forward the vapor separator forward so that I can get back to the oil pressure sensor, or oil pressure switch as it might be called, that is located directly behind it. Let's go ahead and get into it. So first, I'm gonna go ahead and throw a pair of gloves on. Now that we got our gloves on, let's go ahead and start getting into it. So for ease, I'm just using a screwdriver handle type 10mm, which you can tell is packed full of rust, to get in here, and it's not a 10mm. So disregard what I was mentioning earlier, it's not a 10mm. It looks more like an 8, which I will attempt to get squared away right now. No. That's going to be, these are going to be a 5/16 or an 8mm, I believe, which is what it turns out to be. I'm definitely not going to be able to get to that bottom one without taking some more cowling off, which I will show you in a bit. Go ahead and loosen this first one. What I like to do is, as I'm unscrewing it, I start to lean it down some so that when that bolt does get loose out of where it's fastened at, any washer or anything else that might be associated to it doesn't fall down into this space, which you got to fish out. It'll be a kind of a pain in the butt to get that one out. Might be a later problem. Oh, yep, this is going to be a little bit easier, I do believe, to get to. A little bit so I can get to it a little bit better. Alright, so this is what I was talking about. Just taking this vapor separator, leaning it forward so that I can access that oil pressure switch slash sensor. Going based off of the switch that I got, that I had ordered off of boats.net, which, if you guys don't know who they are, you should really know who they are. It's a small little sensor that you just go ahead and connect to the top of it. We'll start working on getting a little bit further on in there. I didn't have all the tools I needed, so I took a quick break, went and grabbed myself 2 channel locks. I don't know which one's going to work best yet, because again, I couldn't find anything on this thing, so I'm just kind of shooting from the hip. Best way to do it. That's probably not going to work, so the next thing I'm going to do, we're going to take it a little further. I'm going to bust this plastic cap off so that I can try to squeeze underneath the flywheel to get to that without having to remove a bunch of crap. Just trying to do the least to get the most. Oh, no, put it in my pocket. There you go. These bolts up top are going to be a 10, which I can break relatively easy. Pull that guy out. I didn't do it because I guess I know better. I don't. However, one thing that I do suggest doing anytime you plan on performing any type of maintenance It's taking a picture so you know exactly where everything went to before you started tearing everything apart. Imagine there's going to be a third or a fourth one. Yep, 2 additional ones back here. Golly. So, we'll go ahead and get that plastic shroud or guard out of the way, which really didn't help all that much. I was hoping it would, but it did not. We might be able to get into it. Might have to take that off, that little zip tie, but I'm gonna try to get to it first. Yep, we should be good. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that zip tie. Hopefully I don't cut the fuel line directly above it. And get that out the way so I can pull some of this other crap away. Alright, so quick update. That little threaded stud just has essentially, if you kind of think about it like a spark plug, how it's just kind of got a little end that you slide over and you just push it on real nice and snug. That's what it had on top of it. To give you a quick idea of what I'm talking about, that's what I'm looking at right in there. Now I'm gonna start working on getting it off. Oh no, oh no. I might have to go ahead and bust off the lower cowling or this middle cowling, which I will 100% admit I'm not comfortable with doing. A couple of bolts right there. Yeah, we're gonna try not to do that. So this guy, we'll try to get to it from right here. Oh, that is never a good thing. I dropped something into the motor. It's gonna take me forever to get out. Haha. More tools. So instead of more tools, I'm just gonna use what I got and hope we can get by. Oh, of course this fuel line's in the way. Okay, more tools again. All right, since we're kind of in a learning environment, me more than anything, did you guys know that on these ratcheting wrenches, there's going to be one end that you notice isn't necessarily straight in line with the handle? It's going to be angled up one direction or another. If you take that angle, I were to go to put it on that bolt, the direction of that angle is that way, so the ratcheting part is going to go that way, allowing it to ratchet, and vice versa. You flip it over, the angle is now going down. Some would refer to that as lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, or righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. That's what you get from me. I really don't want to take this lower cowling off, so hopefully this works. Get out loose. Did I get it loose? Did I break it loose? I did not break it loose. Can I break it loose a little bit? This cow is really in the way. I feel like you should just split in the middle. I can like pull it off in two pieces, but instead it's one full piece, a bunch of hoses that hook up to spit out water for my controls. I really don't want to have to do that. I wish it would just lean it back a little bit. Hopefully I can get in here and get this guy. Oh, doesn't help if everything's packed into a small area. Oh my goodness. So, fun fact, the bottom is split so that it can just sit down there on that bolt. Would have been nice to know a few minutes ago. So, now I've got enough room to get the bigger ugger-duggers in there to start cranking away at this thing. The number one reason why it's going to require a little bit more bigger ugger-dugger is because, if you notice back on this one, it's got some Loctite around the threads. It's good when you get everything in place and you're not going to have to worry about it trying to back out with the vibration and whatnot. But always with pulling it out is going to be the issue, and trying to get it fished out of wherever it is at. Oh, we got budging. So it turns out the channel locks were the answer. I just needed to use a smaller set, which I had here the whole time, and just didn't use. So a little forward thinking here. I'm going to actually lean the motor to the other way by turning the wheel, probably picking up the trim a little bit so that if any oil is in there, I'm not spilling oil all over the place. Forward thinking. Battery's almost dead. All right, we got the old one off a little bit. We're gonna put the new one on. We're gonna try to get a little bit more in there. Pretty good. Plug the sensor back up. Alright, we're good there. Then I've got to get these back on. I will accomplish. Hopefully fairly easy. Alright. That one on. Get this other one on. Get this other bolt in there. Now I'm kind of racing against time because I got some rain coming in, so really want to get all this put back together so that I can test the repair and make sure that it was the issue. Got that guy in there nice and snug. Got this one in there nice and snug. We're all back in there. Last thing's gonna be the 10mm 4 associated bolts for the plastic shroud that goes up top. Sits in there nice like. Okay guys, obviously we're in a little bit different setting now because I completely underestimated the battery life of GoPros. That's something I'm gonna have to work on. Getting some more of is some batteries. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and speed you up to what took place following the death of the GoPro. I got everything put back together. I got the sensor on, everything started going good. Tested a repair, and the repair was not the issue. So that being said, I landed up hooking up to the truck and taking it to the shop because I'm at the extent of what I believe I am comfortable with doing as far as trying to repair a outboard motor, because again, I am not a mechanic, nor am I an outboard engine mechanic. With that being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you got something from the video. This was a very long, drawn out, slightly dry, but at the same time, maybe you got something from it. I appreciate you, and remember, no religion, no politics, just good times.